Yeah, the record's been phenomenal to listen to. I also went back and listened to the Rot and Drag EPs too. So like I've
Oh, cool.
all
Wow.
day's been a Sentiments day for me. So it's been great.
How are you doing emotionally?
I'm keeping it together. It did rain a lot today, so there was some times where like I had to not look out the window because like I was just gonna feel something.
Yeah.
Just try and bottle those things deep down.
It might spiral.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll be that
Yeah.
that like movie thing, just like looking out the window, all morose.
Yeah. Do you have any questions before we get started?
No, I mean we're pretty open books, so
Okay.
we're down for the flow, whatever however it goes, man.
Hell yeah. Perfect. Well, my question to the two of you, and it's my infamous question, is: do you have any unopened beverages that you like to use to participate in the opening crack with?
We sure do.
Yep.
Hell yeah. So what I'll do here is I'll count us down. We'll crack these. I'll do the little intro, bring the two of you in, and we'll just have a good time.
Oh,
Awesome.
yeah. Let's do it.
All right. In three, two, one. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. Very stoked on this episode. I'm sitting down with the band Sentiments. How y'all doing?
Doing great. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good. Like we were kind of saying before the episode started, chill day at work, listen to Sentiments all day. I'm still here. I suppressed the feelings, kept the happy thoughts going. But I'm sitting down talking with both of you, so I think it's going to be a good night.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
Hell yeah. For people that might not be aware of Sentiments, you guys are a emo slowcore. I really love the term of slowcore because I feel like it fits perfectly with this new album. A little bit of shoegaze kind of mixed in there from Manchester, Connecticut. You guys have some stuff out that's been out for a while. I think I saw the earliest was the Quarter Life Crisis was like 2017.
Yeah.
Drag EP and Rot EP both came out in 2019 and 2023, respectively. I listened to both of those today. Quarter Life Crisis wasn't on Apple Music, so I didn't get a chance to listen to that. But
That's like the best.
It is a demo for sure.
I mean, but still, like, it's always interesting to me when I do these deep dives and like find like the EPs that have been out for like ever that are kind of like hiding. It's sitting on Bandcamp. It's not like on all the streaming sites, but to see the timestamps on them and just to see like how much a band has grown from doing all their stuff, I feel like today's bands have been around like kicking for a lot longer. Obviously, you kind of mentioned earlier you have been in bands before, but like I feel like there's something about the bands that started around like 2015 to 2020, like everyone's still doing it, still in this long haul, which is great to see. Not just like one or two good EPs and then like a band break up. Like I feel like there was a point in time where that kept happening.
Yep.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
We were in one.
We were in one of those bands before this. Yeah.
Well, I'm just finding out about you guys more recently, and I'm sure some of the listeners are too. So kind of take me back because I know you guys have been more than a two piece, back to a two piece, and then a three piece, kind of in the past couple of years. Now back to a two piece. So like, take me on this journey of the two of you getting together and starting Sentiments.
Well, Jared and I, we actually have known each other for most of our lives. We like went to high school together. We both separately played music back then. We were both bass players back then. So of course, we weren't going to be playing in the same band.
Right.
And then, some years later, we ended up moving into the same house, this house.
Oddly enough, it felt fitting to do it here.
Yeah. And, I was kind of jamming with the other roommate we had, and Jared started playing drums at that point, and I was on bass, and the other roommate was on guitar, and we just formed a small band, and then one of our other friends who had like a solo acoustic established career asked us to be in a band with her. So we formed the old band Patch Kit that we used to be in,
Okay.
with her, and then after one EP with that, it
Broken.
it disbanded.
Yeah.
And I was at the time writing like acoustic stuff a lot, but I was never really putting it out or releasing it. And then, Jared was one of the people who was kind of like, we should still just keep doing something. And we decided to start taking that acoustic idea and turning it into like full emo.
Yeah, we had originally in Sentiments, we had our buddy Josh play drums. I was in a hardcore band with him like years ago, and we're like, this isn't hardcore, but how would you like playing in this like emo band? And it worked really well for a while. And then, yeah, then around COVID times, of course, things shut down, and then Jim went back to writing acoustic, and Rot was originally all acoustic.
Oh,
And he
wow.
sent it to me, and I was like, I'm gonna ruin this if I do anything. So I was like, wow, just keep it acoustic. And then, we decided to actually make it a full band thing, or more of a full band thing. So I did bass and drums on that album, and then we were two-piece for a while. Then our buddy Mike joined for a while to play bass, because then I was on full-on drums. And yeah, he recorded the new album with us. And now we're back to a two-piece, so we just just kind of what keeps happening. We just work so well together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jared and I, like, we have this kind of innate connection when it comes to writing. Sorry, this dog is getting
He's
right
very
in
needy.
we have this innate connection when it comes to writing where it's just, we kind of know what each other's thinking almost. It's like, I'll bring a song either in part or in full to Jared, and he has this just certain touch that he adds to it that kind of, he knows just what space to fill and where to kind of take the song a lot of the times. And we just really kind of stick to first thought, best thought.
Oh yeah.
With
less is more. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Because earlier in our career, quarter life crisis days, it was kind of like, yeah, let's just throw everything in there.
It's like, this song's got 8 different parts and it doesn't repeat. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're not a prog band. This isn't Yes.
Right.
What are we trying to do here?
The world's first prog emo band.
Yeah.
It is kind of crazy. I talked to one band, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, yeah, we kind of got away from us a little bit in the studio. They had like 6 guitars like layered in there. It's like, you're never going to hear any of that live. It's only going to be in the recordings. It's like, how can you manage to throw all of that in there? Like, yeah, it sounds nice and full, but like, that's kind of crazy at the same time.
Yeah. No, I agree. We did acoustic underlying tracks on this album, which you can almost not hear, which is why we were like cool with it. We like to make it as like true to form as we can. But there's a couple little added little embellishment things that we did in this record that I was like kind of fighting against. Then we did it, and I'm like, I get it.
I dug, for people listening, some of those videos are up on Instagram where you can kind of see some of the playthroughs I think you were doing during recording, which is kind of cool to bring that out. Because, if I wouldn't have seen those and specifically you saying it too, like I would have never realized really that they're underlying in the album, which is really cool.
Yeah. It just gives it a little warmth and a little more, fills the sound out a little bit more for it being just a then 3-piece.
Yeah, and especially with like some of the heavy, because some of the songs, like, I like writing heavy riffs because I like heavy music. I also love singer-songwriters, so obviously like writing a lot of these songs acoustic, like it's just kind of that singer-songwriter mentality, and that's where I focus on like lyricism, and then it's kind of like, okay, but let's like make it fucking heavy. Let's make it kind of brutal. So adding the acoustic kind of like will give some brightness to it, and it kind of throws it back to almost like My Bloody Valentine, and like a lot of like just that overlaying on stuff.
and for people listening, I forgive me for not saying it, but the album that we're talking about, which is your first full length of Sentiments, is called "If This Is What You Want," which at the time this recording is not out yet, but by the time this is out, it'll be out for about a week or two. So hopefully, a lot of people have gotten a chance to listen to it in full. And it's been a great album to listen to. Like one, it's I think the track listing is like perfect. It flows so well throughout the whole album. It's definitely one of those where you can kind of put it on and get lost in a song and then realize that you're in a completely different song.
Yeah.
When you like come out of that like little trance that you kind of get into when you listen to an album. But it's so good. Like I was getting big like title fight vibes out of this too, which is super sick. Just an all around great record.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, we put thought into the track listing.
Yeah,
Too much thought, maybe?
no, I don't think so. We wrote. Obviously, we have 3 EPs out before this, and I love those EPs. But we never really focused on. I mean, we always wanted to organize the songs on those a certain way, but we really focused on like writing this album as like a cohesive thing, and like even the idea of like if this is what you want being the concept behind that. It's not like a concept album, but it has like it's all kind of based around that statement, like question almost like if this is what you want, is this what you want? You can kind of tie that into every song and like the idea and like feeling behind every song. And it opens with the song Recoil, where it's the opening lyrics are just like recoil, recoil, if this is what you want, recoil when it's not enough. And we just kind of wanted that to flow right into that first song, so it just feels like it kind of like hits you where you're like, oh shit, like that's the primer for like, okay, all right, well, let me schedule an appointment with my therapist before I really dive into this and up the Lexapro.
Yeah, because there are definitely some like heavy moments in this record. And like we were talking about earlier, it's raining here in Minneapolis, so it was very very hard to just not sit there and just like look out the window and just like feel it all come in to myself. Like one that I think about, especially when I was driving home, was and it's a good, just the way you phrase it too is like one that I never think about doing it this way. Of I don't want to close my, oh wait, no, not that one. That'll come up later. If things don't get better, they can't get worse. Like I just love like the play on like that whole phrase, but doing it the way you did like made it seem more sad than like that phrase has ever been.
Yeah. That's it, and that's exactly what I wanted. I mean, that's kind of that, like, you get stuck in that feeling sometimes of like when you're in your own way, or you're like, I can make things better, but if I make them better, they could get worse. Like you're rock bottom. You're like, can't go lower than rock bottom, baby.
Yeah.
So
it is funny because I obviously Jim writes the lyrics. I just play drums. Not just, well, yeah, I just play drums. But it's so funny because we like the songs are so depressing, all of it, but we're just happy-go-lucky guys. It's just like a funny position that like I was like, I feel like if people just heard our album, they'd be like, these guys are all right, and then meet us at a show and they're like, oh, they're just silly dudes. I guess that's good.
It's like when you go see a hardcore band and the guy's like, all right, fuck this place up, and then like they finish the song and they go, okay, thank you. It's like if you're like Converge and you're like, Jacob Bannon is scary as hell.
Yeah.
But just a super sweet guy,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like one of the first times I saw Rotting Out. You listen to their music for the longest time, and then you see Wally up in person, and you're like, this man is terrifying. And then he gets done with their set, and he's just like chilling by the merch table. He's just like super nice. It's like it doesn't connect, but it really, it's there, but it's also just really takes you out of the moment.
Yeah.
I just don't want people coming up going like putting the hand on the shoulder, being like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay at home?" Like, Yeah. No, it's fine though.
Obviously, like you mentioned too, like this, you did three EPs before this. Like, was the intention always to like have this one be the first LP, or like when did you decide to like not do an EP next?
Um, I think it kind of started to just come together with not only the amount that we were writing, because Jared and I like we really have killed a lot of songs in the past, like not out of like them being bad songs, but like it's just kind of like that the idea of like you kill your darlings, and like sometimes you have to make room for what's right, and we have probably like another album or two like
Yeah.
of songs that like we've lost over the years that I mean we still know, but like just didn't make it to any recording.
There was a whole drop D phase that I was like, I don't know.
But for this, it was about it. It was weird because it was kind of like coming out of a lot of the content of what I was writing lyrically. Everything kind of was like fitting a mold, and it felt right. And it was just kind of like we were just really striking while the iron was hot. Like we actually like reworked a couple of the songs that were on this album from what they were originally. I mean, which has happened before. Sometimes it's like I said, like first thought, best thought, and sometimes it's something's not clicking.
Especially
And
hearing it back.
yeah,
Hmm.
and like we recorded demos of a bunch of the songs um, at this place called Nowhere in Connecticut, and we listened to the demos back, and we were like, let's change this and this about that, like certain songs, like the song "New Grapes, Old Wine," which is one of my favorites on the album. Um, had like almost like a jangly kind of part in it, and it just didn't fit. And we were like, and I like this is why Jared's also a really good writing partner because when Jared says like that's not working, like there's something about that I genuinely like listen.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
say it unless like this might hurt, but I don't know if this is gonna work.
Yeah.
which me being a bit of this might come as a shock, a bit of an emotional guy. Uh, criticism can be tough sometimes.
Years. Good thing I know him so well.
But no, when Jared is like, I don't think that part's really working, it's kind of like, okay, that part. And like, so I'm always like, that part's not working. What can we do to make it fit? And he was right. And it actually ended up benefiting the song
Yeah.
and making it one of my favorite songs on the album.
So I guess just to make sure I didn't hear anything wrong, like none of these were, some of these were part of like songs that were on the cutting room floor at one point, or were these all kind of newer songs aside from like the album's worth that you already have that we never see?
Oh, these were all new. All new.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we had like an EP's worth of songs that just never anything happened with them.
Yeah.
We have like phone recordings of things, and like it's so funny like going through my phone because we like Jim saying striking while the iron's hot. We'll have practices where we'll jam on three riffs, and we're like, I think that those are three songs. Okay, and we'll like phone record a few, and then we'll work on a few, and then I'll go through my phone and be like, do you remember this from like last year? We literally, it sounded great. We never did anything with it. So this album was all new stuff, but we're at a point where we're writing new stuff again still, and are wondering like, do we? It's always an interesting thought to like, do you look back? Do you just
Right.
keep pressing forward? Like there may be a reason why we didn't record any of those other ones or don't play them live anymore or anything like that. So it's always a thought.
Yeah. The nice thing is like depending on what you have done and like recorded, like it's kind of like a little graveyard where you can go like either steal a riff from, steal like a couple like lyrics from, like where I've heard a few different people like, oh yeah, we actually took this whole line from a song that we didn't put out back in like X year, and we took this riff from like this song that it just didn't work with that song and we shelved it. Thankfully I kept like the voice recording or whatever, like most people do, and then they just bring it back and we see it in its like new light, almost like the light that it's supposed to be seen in.
Yeah.
Dude, wait, maybe we'll have an odds and ends album.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah, sometimes it's like a puzzle piece. It just like you're like it looks like it could fit here, and then you kind of like get the bigger picture, and you're like, oh, that is a wrong piece.
Yeah.
Uh,
There was one riff that we keep throwing into songs. We're like, nah, not this one. Maybe the next one. Eventually, it's gonna make it recorded, I'm sure. But...
yeah, I mean, like for example, our EP Rot, we had 2 weeks to write all of that. Like I had everything written acoustic, and we had about two because we were gonna like at that point lose our practice space in about 2 weeks, and we were like, all right, Jared, let's write drums in 2 weeks for this whole thing. And that goes back to like Jared being like a very intuitive drummer, where he's like not overthinking things, not doing like always doing crazy fills or anything like that. And it's just it all services the song. And we had an entire song that was going to be on that, and at the last minute we scrapped doing that just for one riff that I had, and I was like, I think I can write the song around like this riff, and that became the song "Loner" on that, which is like
one of our best songs.
One of our best songs. It's what we close our set live with usually. For a little inside baseball, if you want to see us live.
Yeah, it's funny too because in those 2 weeks not only wrote "Loner" but wrote the drums to all those songs, and then the subsequent weeks after tried to put bass to Jim's acoustic parts. So obviously I'm doing both, but not until it was recorded did I hear them at the same time because I can't do both. So it was one of those like weird moments where like in the studio after like tracking it and listening to it back, I'm like, all right, that does work. Good. I had a feeling it might, but good thing it didn't need extra studio time to rework anything.
Yeah. Which one thing I thought was kind of crazy, jumping back into the LP is not that long after Rot was out. I think when I was going through Instagram, you had just posted about like the EP release show, and then it was like almost a month or two later, you had posted like already working on the next stuff, which is crazy that you just have like this unlimited, almost like think tank of just, okay, this stuff's out. We're already working on the next LP. Granted, it's been like a year, 2 years since that like initial post or whatever, but it's still crazy that it was that soon after Rot that you were already thinking and working on this LP.
Yeah, it's funny. The newest song we wrote is one of our favorites, and we're like, oh, we can't wait. We're working out a couple other riffs and songs, and we actually saw Greg, who recorded our album. Greg Thomas, he's the homie. We saw him at the Full of Hell show, and we're like, got a couple ideas for. He's like, get back in the studio, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of planning our next recording. So yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse because sometimes it's like we can't stop. Like I have like 3,000 voice memos on my phone because I'm constantly writing, and I'll like record stuff and just like keep recording. So if Jared's like, hey, what, like, do you remember this song? And I'm like,
gotta label.
You've got to like you can tell me like around what it. Yeah. First off, I gotta start labeling stuff for like when I actually land something. I gotta like put a title to it. But I'll be like, if you can tell me around what it is, I'll just like scroll through my phone violently, being like, all right, let me find 5 voice memos around
January
2000, like the like number 2256. But I like borderline obsess, not in a bad way, but like if I start working on something all day at work, I will be like running it through my head and running it back and almost like writing it throughout the day. And then I'll get home and I'll be like, okay, let me try and flesh this out if I can.
One thing I've said before is I feel bad for, all the bands that, are in your guys' situation where you have this new record that's not even out yet, and you obviously still need to put it out, kind of play around it, get it out there, but you're already like 3 steps ahead mentally, and you're like, we've been sitting on these songs for like this long, but like we kind of want to already play like the new stuff that no one has heard yet. that's new, not even like like this new LP. Like I can't imagine sitting on stuff for that long. Like I sit on things for like maybe a month at a time with these episodes. I can't imagine sitting on anything longer than like 2 months of just like waiting for people to hear it so I can do the next thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It can be tough, but it's also like working with Silver Bullet and Greg. Um, just the process of it there of going from like writing it and then like you get the little snippets as it's being recorded and like somewhat mixed and then it's like it keeps getting refreshed by the time like you get that first like final mix. You're like, oh my god, like this is insane. So it really just kind of like reinvigorates you. And I also like we did take a little bit of a break
Yep.
from writing for a bit, and it was almost nice. But it kind of like did give a chance to be like, okay, let's like we've got an album coming out. We don't know when it's actually going to come out, and
Yeah,
like
shopping around at that point.
and you know talking with Jordan from We're Trying Records and him helping us out and like helping us get this like push and get it situated. It's been like, okay, let's start focusing back on writing again now, also while doing the whole like press everything, you know?
Do you think it obviously it sounds like it kind of helped. I know you guys are recording from timestamps that I've seen on things. You guys were kind of in the started in the studio around like February of 24, and then I think you wrapped up in like October of 24. So at least it, like you said, it does kind of give you that little refreshing moments of you're getting things back in like waves rather than going in there for a full week, getting it all done, and then like having to sit on it for that entire time. Where like you
Yeah.
can slowly like kind of work and tweak and like listen to it as it's forming and becoming its own album.
And it helped too because I mean Greg's just the best. We'll just continue saying that. But he worked with us. He's a very busy man. He's on tour with End. And just recording other bands all over the country, or they're flying in. And because we live 40-ish minutes,
Yeah, we live pretty close.
pretty close. I guess it doesn't have to have an exact minute there, but we live close enough where it was like, hey, maybe we can do a couple more things. Like he's like, I've got these 2 days, and it's like we're there. And so him being flexible with us and us being flexible really helped kind of get it done because we needed a little more time than the initial time that we had gotten in the studio. Which this next time we'll be even more prepared and bang it all out in one fell swoop.
But it's nice because like then you're also not feeling like rushed to get it all done.
Yeah.
Because then you can kind of like I can't remember who I talked to, but they had the same kind of opportunity where they just kind of went to the studio when the studio had time. They kind of just slowly worked on the new album, and I feel like I don't know if it helps knowing that, but listening to the album, it feels more just like complete rather than like going in there for a full week and being like, we have to get this done by the end of this week, otherwise, we have no more time.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, there's something about the pressure. I think, just like that, something good could come of that, but also at the same time, it was great to not have that pressure.
Yeah, there's a good amount of pressure like when you're trying to get something out, but it is also like knowing like, oh god, like if we like flew across the country, and we're doing something in like Portland, it would be like, oh my god, no, we're on day 5 of day 7 and we don't have everything done. We got to cut stuff, or we got to figure out coming back out. At least like here, Greg's like, I don't know, I might be busy for the next month, but like, hey, like I can schedule you guys for these 2 days and we can wrap up guitars. And you're like, cool. And it also really kind of helps to give that like any feedback that Greg gives to us, because Jared and I also like love feedback. If Greg is like, I have this idea, hey, try this, we're like, let's do it. Like, we're not precious about anything. Even if Greg, because there were a couple like chords Greg changed. And it wasn't even like a full change with the chord. He's like, add like this fret, I don't know shit about actually writing. Jared knows theory, and I'm the one that's like, I don't know, I just put this chord. For instance, like at one point Greg was like, that's a weird ass chord, dude. And I was like, I don't know. I just like fretted my fingers. It sounded good. He's like, that's some like stepdad chord. That's some like weird shit. but like anything Greg says, like, so if there's a gap between that and when I go back to finish guitars, I can sit there and I can just work on it for a week, 2 weeks, a month, however long it is. Same thing with like vocals and stuff. If Greg's like, hey, I listened to the initial and like maybe try and do this or that, it's like cool. Or like, work on enunciation because there were a couple of times where it got a little squirrely with ramping up to certain parts and almost have like an accidental like Eddie Vedder like that was the thing with like that actual and I God this is I don't know if I should say it because this might ruin it for anyone who listens to it. But when we were recording the pity song, the if things don't get better they can't get worse, like Greg's like at the console and he like stops and he's like, can you sing that again? And I did it and he's like, dude, it's like almost like a Eddie Vedder, like if things don't get like Creedish, like, and I was like, oh my god,
not what we're going for. Let's take that back.
But I also like having stuff like that because it also helps you to not take shit too seriously, especially when you're writing like sad stuff. You're like, you know what? Let's kind of eliminate some of that.
Yeah, it's great. Hold on, I have it up here. So with this album too, you guys have this really sick album artwork. I know you guys got to. I think the person's name was William Schaff. Yeah, like how was it working with them to kind of collaborate on this album artwork?
It was genuinely a dream come true. Um, this is someone that I've admired his work my entire life. He's one of those people that his artwork is just it's beautiful and there's at times like something kind of like almost painful about it, and he works in so many different mediums, but it all has the same feel. And like genuinely, he's my favorite artist, and he's worked on albums. Like I have a tattoo of one of the albums he worked on. This band called Aqua River, which is an indie folk band because, as I said earlier, like I'm a huge indie folk singer songwriter person. He, most people have seen his work
And without knowing it.
without knowing him.
I always point to the Godspeed You Black Emperor album with the hands.
That he did that, and
Yeah.
he did the Magnolia Electric Company, the Songs Ohio album, the Jason Molina album. He's done a lot of work like that, and he's just this wonderful Rhode Island artist. And it was kind of like a Hail Mary where I was like, you know what? Let me reach out and just see what, like, see if he'll do it. And he emailed me back and he was like, yeah, this is like, sure, I'd love to work with you. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Okay, that's cool, dude. Uh, and he did our artwork and he sent it to us and I was like, perfect. And I actually ended up buying the actual artwork too from him. And he was like, hey, you know what? You're in Connecticut. I'm in Rhode Island. Do you want to come out to the fort? That's what he calls his like workspace. It's this like little seaside building and it's just wall to wall, all his art. He has taxidermy, and it's just his giant workspace. And it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. It's amazing. And he was like, just come out, hang out. And we had some drinks and I got to know him. And he told me all the stories about like, it's when people were like, oh, don't meet your heroes. Like I met one of my heroes and he was amazing. Right. And he told me all the story. Like, it's somebody who has the key to all the stories of all like the people and bands that you idolized coming up. And he's just freely giving them to you. And he was like, there's your art. Take it home with you. I was like, this is insane.
Why?
And he's just been a dream to work with. And, I had he goes by Poison Dust on Instagram. He did the layouts for the CD, and he utilized some of Will's artwork for like the back of the CD and the inside cover, and it just I saw the cover art and I was like, this is so special and this is so beautiful. And then seeing the whole layout with the lettering and everything, it has this almost to me, it has this almost like medieval kind of quality. Like when you open up an old book and you see the medieval script and there's like all the weird like drawings in the margins. It feels like looking at that, and that's exactly what I wanted for the CD without ever knowing that I wanted it for the CD.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure to work with him, and obviously the album art's dope, and people will see that when it comes out. But it was such a step up because all of our previous albums are just like photographs of us or friends of ours from like it's all like found photographs, which was our vibe and like our thing for a while. But this for the full length, it's like let's do something different.
Yeah,
and really took a swing for the fences, and we're just so happy with how it came out. The album art, the recording with Greg and Silver Bullet, everything has just been great with this album, and I'm just so happy to finally get it out.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where doing this album and like the way we did it with recording and the artwork, it was like if we get a chance to make one album ever, like one full length ever, we wanted to do it exactly right. So like, I don't know, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, we can at the very least look back and be like, no regrets. Like that is something that like every aspect was perfect. And I truly feel like that's how it came out between Greg and Chris Teddy mixing it and recording it, and then Chris Crummett mastering it. The whole thing is just perfect.
Yeah, I mean, for everyone listening, I listened to it probably between yesterday and today to get leading up to this like 5-6 times, just constantly on repeat. And it's definitely a no skip album. It's super good for everyone that has like a void that they're missing of something, from like a basement title fight feel. Like it's just such a good album. And then once you get like through the instrumentals, like on your fourth or fifth listen, and you start listening to the lyrics, you might get a little sad, but that's okay. You just pop it back on and you just fucking roll with it. We all listen to Midwest Emo. We're all sad boys that listen to my podcast anyways. You'll be fine. But it's such a solid album. Like you guys killed it on this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I want to vary it enough with like some slower songs, some faster songs, a couple songs in 6, just to it's a common theme, and it feels really cohesive, but there's some different dynamic things going on in it where it's doesn't get too like stale or anything. You're like, oh, this song's just like the last one. There's like a common theme and it feels cohesive, but there's just different instrumentation and things going on. And
yeah. And I mean, hey, Title Fight's one of my favorite bands. So I love that comparison. And we always like, kind of like you just said, like we like to write music that we want to hear. We love a lot of different bands, and we would love to but I can't sit down and just like actively go like, all right, I'm gonna write a Title Fight song. It's just kind of like I'm gonna write the chords that I can kind of figure out and do. And if it sounds like something that I listen to, that's awesome. But we want to emulate the bands we love, but we never want to like rip them off,
Yeah.
And just to like be that comparison because it's great,
perfect, yeah.
And it's like anybody who compares you to a band. We've gotten comparisons to like weird bands sometimes, but anytime somebody does it, I'm like, that's killer because it's somebody that you like, and you're like, you sound like this, and like.
Mineral recently.
Somebody said Jawbreaker, which I love Jawbreaker.
Dude, for real, yeah. Sunny Day.
Sunny Day, yeah.
I've gotten a bunch of ones recently, just playing a lot more shows in the past couple months.
Yeah.
I got one more question, and then I want to ask about the Connecticut scene here in a second. But you kind of talked about how like the previous EPs, like everything has just been kind of like found footage. For the for the Jinx single album artwork, where it's like this picture of a house, is that just kind of like a found footage, or is that house like mean something with that song?
Okay.
So glad you asked. That's really funny. So that house is in Manchester. So we both live in Manchester, but I will drive to his house to practice. We practice at his house. And I drive by just the way I happen to drive home. I drive by it. It's right near Case Mountain, this like awesome hiking trail. And it's more or less been abandoned for a very long time. Somebody's owned it, but it's a very old home and it's in a little bit of disrepair. So there's just like never anybody in it. And one night I drove home from practice and there was a light on in the second floor, and I was like, oh my God. And I immediately texted Jen. And so he was like, no way. And then went and took that photo in his phone as he was driving by.
As I was driving by, I took the photo.
That's awesome.
It's that, like, it's this old, like, derelict kind of mansion.
Yeah.
Because our town, Manchester's like an old silk mill town.
Mm.
And so there's a lot of, like, you know,
stately mansions.
Huge mansions. Like, but, like, you'll get one, it's not like a rich town. You'll just get a homes in between a bunch of, you know, like regular, like, cape homes, you know? And, like, on the outskirts of this giant mountain. And it is haunted.
It has to be.
It is haunted. And even just the other night, Jared went home from practice and he was like, Jinx house is for sale. Oh my God. So we were like on Zillow, like looking through it. And we are like, do you think, because Jared's looking for a place right now, I was like, can your realtor get us in there just to like walk around?
Oh, yeah.
My realtor might know that I'm not looking for $800,000 house. But
you're like, I recently came into some money, so within my budget now.
And it needs work. It's almost a gut job.
It's cool though. Like but yeah, just driving by that night and seeing that one light on, I was like, this is some spooky shit.
Yeah.
And it kind of fits weirdly with everything. We weren't even sure we wanted the single art to be. I don't know. You had put some thought into it, but then I was like, yeah.
Yeah, especially because, like, I don't know. I really like esoteric shit and, like, ghosts and, you know, spell work and stuff. So, like, it's like the spookier the better. Like, yeah, this haunted house where the song where I talk about basically being a ghost and the ghost of an old lover. It's like, yeah. That's who's my sadness is haunting that house.
Oh my God, it's you. It's you.
It is me.
Yeah.
I think if you can get your realtor to like let you guys go check it out, you just need to like take an acoustic with you and then like just post up, like do a quick like snippets of like videos of you playing Jinx inside the house, like just bring it full circle.
That would be so sick.
So dope. I love that idea.
Like an Instagram live in the house.
You throw a show there. I don't know. I'm thinking too hard.
Because you got to do something there. That way, that's how your sad songs get into the house to start haunting the house, and then it's like this full circle thing. It turns into like a whole Interstellar thing where like it was in the walls the whole time.
Oh my God.
Things are fucking crazy.
I keep seeing the ghost and this really hairy guy in there.
Oh my God. I love it.
Jared's like dying.
It's really sour, man. That hit me weird.
Is it really sour?
It is pretty tart.
All right.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, sour beers are always hit or miss depending on like what level of tartness you're gonna get. I found some decent ones recently, but like I've also gotten some that are like, this is gonna take a while.
There's a risk, and it's a little warm, so it's warming up a little bit. And I'm like, whew.
But yeah, I think you're maybe the first or second Connecticut band that I've had on the podcast, and I don't think if I had someone else on, I think I did, but I don't think I really talked about the scene too much. What's the scene like in Connecticut? I feel like, you know, it's never one of the states that I hear a lot of bands coming from, but obviously I've seen you guys playing like a heck of a lot of shows through the flyers that I see on Instagram. Like, what's it kind of like out there?
It's not like it used to be, I guess, in a lot of ways. We lost a lot of good DIY venues and spots for sure, but there's still a contingent of local scene dudes that are still doing it. Like the past two shows we played, one at the shop in Hamden, which is kind of like a studio, but they throw shows. Was great, and just having a bunch of local bands and show up and some homies. And then the next night we played at Dog Pound, which is by UConn, University of Connecticut. And that was dope too. Big turnout. It was like it was an outdoor show. It was pretty
First
sick.
time cops have been called up.
It
was actually pretty awesome.
Pretty rad. It was weird at the time because we were playing. I'm like, well, we might hear somebody else talking. He's like, please stop. And we're like, oh.
Hold on, everybody.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, okay. And then they're like, I think they're going to let us finish. Can you turn down? I'm like, I can't turn the drums down, but we'll figure something out. But that show was very well attended. And weirdly met OK Cuddle, who were like, oh, we're label mates. And I was like, oh my God, wild. Yeah. So they're from Brooklyn, they're sick.
We've been in the Connecticut scene long enough to have watched it like ebb and flow, and it's like I imagine like many different scenes are. I mean, like obviously like cities are always going to have pretty static scenes. It's just like the venue's always just kind of like chess piece around.
Yeah.
But Connecticut's like so hinging on a lot of like the college areas. Like when we were first coming up in Willimantic, Connecticut, there was the Handsome Woman, which is where like bands like The World Is kind of came out of. And that ended up like, closing at some point, and then it shifted like to this place called the Crunch House in New Haven, and which is like southern Connecticut. I mean, Connecticut's small, so it's not like oh, it's southern Connecticut, and you can get anywhere in an hour in Connecticut. More. Which is also why when you're like, yo, we're doing a show, and people are like, I don't know. I'm like, we don't.
Yeah.
Have you ever driven across Pennsylvania? Like,
right.
It's like
my cousin lives in Texas, and when I explain like I can't get people to drive to our show and it's like 25 minutes away, he's like, my grocery store is 25 minutes away. He's like, I'll drive like, oh, let's go to San Antonio. It's only 6 hours or whatever.
But the contingent of people that do come out like in the scene really are like diehards, and you will see a lot of the same people at a lot of the same shows, no matter where it is in Connecticut. And it almost makes it feel better seeing that person. You're like, yo, I remember you from that Crunch House show, or there used to be this place called Max 650, like someone you see all the time, and they're just like, I just like local music and I'm willing to travel. And you're like, it's people like that really keep this scene alive until the next flow. We might be in an ebb now, but it's always going to hit that flow. But we find that like when we go play Pittsfield,
Mass,
and like it's a killer show all the time. Like so it's almost like there's a lot of stuff in Connecticut, but it's sparse. And when we go to Pittsfield, it's like, oh, there's this one spot in the middle of this huge area, and everyone gravitates towards that. And the Connecticut scene's going to bounce back at some point. It's never, dead. But the weird thing about Connecticut is there's also so many different types of music. Like when I used to be in this indie folk band like way, way, way years ago, and I was, play like the accordion and the mandolin and shit. And I wasn't actually singing or writing music. I was just a part of it. And it was that in the middle of this huge metal scene that was in Connecticut, because Connecticut has like a big hardcore scene. So it's like if you're in a Power Violence or a hardcore band, there's always shows in Connecticut for you. But sometimes it's like an emo band. It's like, what bill do we fit on?
Yeah,
right.
Kind of like too heavy for some shows and like not heavy enough for some. It was funny too because for a while I'm usually in two bands. This is the first time in a while where I haven't been in, but I was in a like Power Violence hardcore band for a while, and I was like turning down shows, and we were like trying to get some. It's just such a weird. I'm like, why is this? That is just a thing, especially playing in the local music scene for the past 20 years. Wow. Seeing the changes, and I a lot of venues got bought out, and like so it's a little more corporate, if you will, for some of the venues. So big bands, and you got to sell like tons of tickets. But I think with that coming up, there's more like DIY scenes like emerging to kind of fill that void, if you will, or kind of take over because a lot of those bigger venues don't help out the local, the local music scene too much. They'll have one local band and you have to sell 80 tickets or you have to pay to play or whatever it ends up being or something like that. So
Yeah, so we really appreciate the smaller venues like the Dog Pound and the like younger, like the newer generation that's really keeping it alive and also making the scene way better. It's, I'm sure you've seen it like out in your area too. It's like each new generation of the scene brings this new like healthier and safer vibe with them usually. And you're like, this is awesome. Like when we play shows like Places of Dog, we're like, this is like, wow, people are like really cool and everybody's really nice and no one's being shitty like they used to be.
Yeah. Everybody's inclusive.
Yeah, everyone's inclusive. It's like a complete safe space for everyone. You're like, oh, fuck yeah, this is sick.
Every band that got on was like, fuck ice. And we're like, yes. Yeah, well, obviously. Yeah.
Well, and then like I also noticed that like this generation that's going on now, like it's weird thinking back, and I brought this up at some point, or I was thinking it at some point, where you were out of the era of like shitty basement recordings. So like everyone that I listen to, it's like their first EP, and that like everyone in the band is like, whether it's the EP or you're watching them live, they're all like phenomenal. And not to say like bands in our era or anything like that were shitty, but like every once in a while you'd get on a bill and there'd be like some bands like you could tell it was their first show, but like this generation right now, it's like you can't tell that it's like their first handful of shows, and like everyone's just fucking killing it every time they play. It's insane.
Yeah, we played with a bunch of newer bands recently too, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. We're the old heads at the show, and we're like it's good.
It's always good when you get to a point with like the newer generation where you can kind of be like, if I were to leave, I feel like the scene's in good hands.
Yeah,
for sure,
absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a couple of stalwarts that are still around, like Cafe 9 still books. It's a bar in New Haven, Cherry Street in Wallingford, kind of roughly in the same area. But I've been playing shows there for 16, 17 years, and they still support the locals.
Yeah.
So.
Hell yeah. I know we jumped around a bit, talking the record and local scene, but it's always cool to hear, like, obviously when you like look at it from a big picture, all the scenes are kind of doing the same thing at the end of the day. Like there's always a random giant hardcore scene everywhere. There's always the ebbs and flows. Like I'm also from like Southeast Iowa, and we have a college right there too. So like that whole scene was always just dependent on what year the college kids were there that actually like gave a shit about local music or like were playing stuff. So like a lot of cool bands would be there for a couple of years, and then they're like, oh, we graduate, so we're moving home or whatever. So it's like our band's done. It's like, you guys were sick. Like, why are you doing this? But then you also see like all the college kids that move into a house that throw like a punk show and like start having DIY houses that come and go. It's just like, oh, we moved 2 blocks over. We're now this place. It's that's always been fun.
Got a different name now. The Funky Drum.
Yeah. But is there anything that I might have missed between Sentiments or the new LP, if this is what you want, that I might have missed that you want the people to know about?
Other than just listening to it, no.
Yeah. Come out to shows if you're in our area.
Yeah, I mean, we are gonna try to do a tour around the album.
Yep.
So if you see us coming somewhere near you, please come out. We'd love to meet you.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Is like we love just chatting with everybody at shows, and we're like huge movie nerds and just nerds in general, if I'm being honest. But so we're always just like, we have a Roadhouse
we use
sample that we use right now.
It's live, and I used a sample from Roadhouse, which I did hopefully they're not going to come for me.
I think you'll be okay.
I don't
Yeah.
need the ghost of Patrick Swayze.
Rip your throat out on stage. That was sick, actually. But,
that would,
yeah.
if I was gonna die, that's how I
That
want
would
to
be
die. But yeah, so like we're like, oh, what obscure like shit can we use for a loop that's still sad somehow, but fits the vibe, you know?
Yeah. Well, everyone listening, pay attention for tour dates coming up. Check their Instagram. We'll talk links here in a little bit. But like I always say, since I'm not able to go to those shows, you all have to go for me so I can live vicariously through everyone that's going to be at that show. We're going to start to transition. And like I said, this is where we kind of talk about some of the beverages that we're drinking tonight. Obviously, we've kind of hinted that you got a sour beer tonight. But what do you guys drinking on your end of the spectrum?
So yeah, Jim got some beers from 12% Beer Project in North Haven. They contract brew for a bunch of different breweries, and they brought them some samples. So
Yeah, they're really cool.
super
They
dope.
work with a lot of like. What I love about them is they work with smaller breweries to like really help build them up, and they'll help contract with some like these small breweries' best brews, and they'll do all this crazy stuff. Like this one's from a little brewery called Little House in Connecticut. It's called Rare Candy. I think it might be a Pokemon thing. I don't know though. I am a nerd, but I am unfortunately past blue and blue and red. I don't know.
And Little House Brewery is dope. It's very small. Like it's a legitimate little house in this like cute little town in Connecticut, Chester, Connecticut. Not Manchester, but it's Chester. Adorable. And I'm drinking Sky Gazer. They do sours brewed out of Connecticut as well, 12%. This one's orange pineapple. Pretty tart.
Makes
I
sense.
Modelo.
Yeah, I got some Modelo's for this episode.
Oh yeah.
I kind of bounce between these and not PBRs as much anymore, but these and hams for most of my episodes. Good old.
I know, we get that out here. Yeah. Unfortunately, but I've had it. Sorry, whenever I travel, I always try local-ish beers.
Dude, hams is a solid beer. Like, it used to be brewed in St. Paul, one of the Twin Cities, but now it's, I think, moved to Milwaukee. It's based out of there, but yeah, it's goes down smooth, and you can get like a 30 rack for like $20, if that.
Oh yeah, that's where it's at. Yeah,
yeah.
They made 12% brews a little lager called Snappy, and it's just like the perfect light lager, and it's like $5 a little 4-pack, and it's
it's killer.
Yeah, that's always the good thing to find, because I feel like as much as I love breweries, it's when you're like, do I buy a 4-pack of Tall Boys from this brewery for $16, or do I buy this full 30 rack for the same price from just hams?
Yep.
It's like, I want to support this, but I'm also balling on a budget. So like, what do I do?
Feel that for sure.
Yeah, I went to there's a brewery that I really like going to near us, and their like beer is great, and like I'll go there and drink, but their 4-packs are like inching up towards $20 for a 4-pack, and I was like, look, I will come and I will like patronize you, and I will get some pours while I'm here, but I can't justify taking home a $20 4-pack, you know?
Yeah. It's rough. It's tough out here.
You know? And we're just trying to hang, just trying to have a good time. Yeah. Now, is that I meant to ask earlier, is that a Limp Wrist shirt or a Limp Biscuit shirt?
It's a Limp Wizards shirt.
So okay.
Yeah. So Limp Wizards, they're like a pop punk, a Midwest emo band based out of Norman, Oklahoma. Yeah, I think they've been around doing music for quite a long time. I can't remember how long they've been doing it, but they've been on the podcast a couple times. But yeah, their name has always thrown me off as to why they decided to do Limp Wizards, and I've never asked them.
That was my first question. I'm like, Limp Wizard. I love that.
But yeah, they fucking rip. They put out a new EP last year, I think called Prudence, 4-song EP, super sick for everyone listening.
Sick. Got some homework.
But that's the little drink segment for this episode. To end off these episodes, I forgot to mention it earlier probably, is we usually talk about some fun stories from you guys' time of music. Obviously, y'all have been around doing music and going to shows for a hot minute, so this is where we kind of talk about some as I normally say. They can be anything horrendous or tremendous, or
Mm.
any adjective in between. I like to think about it as like the stories you always reminisce about with your friends. Those are usually the best stories that everyone loves to hear. Um, Statute of limitations are a thing, so don't incriminate yourself if you don't want to. But that's up to you guys.
Yeah, geez, look at I've been playing in so many bands for such a long time that I have crazy, crazy stories. I'm trying to think of the sentiment stories.
Well, we have one from this last weekend.
Well, the
That
cops
is, it is, well, the
was-
cops showing up was like not that bad.
Yeah.
But we saw such an unhinged, it's like of all of our stories,
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like this is the most unhinged thing I've ever seen. We played a show at the shop, and I don't like calling certain people out. And so if this person's somehow listening, I want them to know they're a maniac. So, but it was like, no AC, no fans, and there was like a heat wave this week.
Gross.
So it was probably like 90 something outside, and then in there, it was just like dripping sweat just standing there. And I look over, and there's this person in big Jinko jeans, a denim jacket, and they are hammering a half-gallon of whole milk.
Oh my
And
god!
I was like, no, 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 no,
Right,
no.
draw the line.
Like a sociopathic shit, man.
Yeah, that was.
There wasn't like a hidden camera somewhere that like you just
Yeah,
are
right.
getting punked. Like
It-
that
no.
just doesn't happen in the wild, man.
No, yeah.
And you think like milk warms up so quick under normal circumstances, but in a hot room like that, it was hot milk.
Oh,
I could barely even drink beer. I mean, I was still drinking beer, but I could barely.
Yeah. I'm like, you get the like hardcore shows where that dude's in a Christmas sweater like every day of the year, or like it's in the middle of summer and he's rocking the Christmas sweater. I'm like, that's a little odd, but he did something different.
I mean, that's the most recent one and somehow the worst one. When we were on, we did a weekender with our friends in Sinking
Yeah.
a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago at this point, and we hit Brooklyn, and it was like rolling up into like the Warriors, like that. It's how like New York looked in the Warriors, where like all of a sudden you're under like one of the overhead like trams from the subway, and there's spray paint everywhere, and you're like, okay, no, that's totally cool. Like we've been to like a bunch of different places, so we're like, whatever. So we get to the venue and we walk in. Well, first off, we double parked because I was like, I've got to go to the bathroom so bad. Like we just drove 4 hours to get here. Like just run in, and then we'll figure out actual parking. And I go inside, and it is daytime in Brooklyn, like 3 p.m., and it's like the day drinking crowd in Brooklyn. And there was a dude like just like passed out on the couch, sleeping in like a full like velvet jumpsuit, like old school Adidas, like. And I was like, oh shit, that's the move. Okay. And I was like, where the fuck are we playing? So I asked the bartender, I was like, yo, can I just use your bathroom? Like, we're playing tonight. She's like, you can't load in until 6. And I was like, okay, no, totally cool. I just really need to use the bathroom. And she was like, it's right there. So I knock on the door, and nobody answers because I jiggled the handle and it was locked. I was like, okay. And then after a few minutes, I knock again. This dude in sunglasses opens the door, and he like holds his hand up in like a wait motion, but he's holding a bag of Coke. and I was like, is he asking me? Is he telling me to wait while he does like all this Coke in the bathroom? So I was like, and I'm like a little avoidant on conflict sometimes, and I was also not gonna mess with a dude who's like straight up doing Coke.
yeah.
I was like, I feel like in the realm of like people who have things to lose in this moment, he's got left to lose. So
I don't know. He's got that bag of Coke he could lose. That's the only thing.
Yeah. So I wait a few more minutes, and then like this girl comes by, and she's like, "Are you waiting for the bathroom?" And I was like, "Yes." So she knocks on the door and then scratches on it a little bit, and I was like, "What's going on?" The guy opens the door, and she goes in, and they close the door, and I was like, "No!" Like this whole time, I'm like, "Please!" I go to the bartender, and I was like, "Can I please? Like, do you have another bathroom, please?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "She's like, are they still in the bathroom?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so She knocks on the door and she's like, "Hey, get the fuck out of the bathroom." And the guy opens the door and goes, "What do you want to do, a line?" And she goes, "Not right now." And I go in, and the guy goes, "Yo, we made a mess in there." And I was like, and then I walk in, and there's just like it is like World War III in there. It's bad. And he goes, "Yo, can you hand me my drink?" And I was like, "I'm not touching anything." I was like, "You can grab your drink, but I'm just trying to pee, man." And the best like bookend to that story is we play our set, get off stage later on, like once it hit like nighttime, like the Brooklyn like younger crowd came in, and the night drinkers came in, and and we play our set, get off stage, and the guy who was passed out in the velvet jumpsuit was sitting at our merch booth, like in the chair that we had at our merch booth, and he goes, "I really like your guys' style," and I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, that's awesome." I was like, "You woke up and heard us, and we're like, let me go check it out."
You woke me up.
So I feel like we had some cred, but like we came out later in the night, and like all of the windows on the street were spray painted, and the car we took in was like pristine white, and I was like, we drove a blank canvas into this neighborhood. We came out unscathed. Like that was the biggest win of the night.
Yeah.
Brooklyn's always mine. Seeing rats the size of Rosie and just like walking around. I was like, "Oh my god, someone's dog." He's like, "Oh my god, no!" Wow.
I don't know if you have any crazy stories from back in your
Oh my god. To be
early
honest,
days.
I could go on for days, but one of my favorites was I was in a ska band, and we went on tour, and we had a van, and there's a bunch of us, and we bought one of the first legs of our tour was up in New Hampshire, and they sell fireworks. They're illegal there. They're just like not anywhere else in New England, I don't think. So we bought like a lot of fireworks, and definitely we played in Philly, and we're lighting them off in this random parking lot, and like somebody called the cops, and like we're filming us, and they thought we were gonna get arrested. We were shooting them out of the van driving down the highway. At one point, yeah, pretty wild. I'm trying to think of the PC stories. A lot of drawing on each other's faces, and that was on that same tour. We drew like a little. We colored in our drummer. He was an alcoholic. It was always a problem. So he'd always be passed out, and we drew like cat whiskers and like colored in his nose. And we're just walking around DC for like hours. And at one point he said, "I gotta go to the bathroom." He went to like a Starbucks. He's like, "Fuck you guys," and like ran off. Like that's what you get for like passing out all the time. Yeah. It's a bunch of wild ones. I'm trying to think, but yeah. Those are the couple that stand out. I gotta like write some down. Being in bands for so long, like 20 years now, like having hundreds of shows. I'm like, I should probably write some of this shit down because it just ends up leaving at some point.
No, I feel you. There's times where like I get really repetitive with my stories on this show. So like I'm like, man, I gotta go like visit one of my dudes that I like toured with, so like we can have that. When you get together with your friend that has experienced all those same things, and like you just both start remembering all the stories that you haven't been able to remember. I just need to unlock that and just like start writing everything down.
Yeah, no, it's real. It's real. Luckily, I guess luckily, not a lot of crazy stuff happens at Cinnamon shows. They're usually pretty tame, which I guess is good. Not quite as memorable, I guess, to a degree, but nothing crazy or problematic.
I don't know. I saw somebody filming a video with like a Nokia Razor.
Yeah.
At one of my shows.
Yeah, that's right.
And they were like definitely too young to have been around for the Nokia Razor.
Something with a Game Boy Advance, or somebody filming a set with a.
I was like, no, we didn't take videos on those phones because they were awful. They were bad, dude. You don't want to film with that.
Pixelated.
I was like, the kids aren't going to be okay. Screw it. They're not going to be okay. Generation's fucked.
Yeah, I mean, if you're taking pictures, like videos with that, like even photos were shitty back then. So like, I can't imagine taking a video of anything nowadays.
A nice phone in your pocket already
right.
that can do that perfectly fine. I don't know.
Kids are crazy. They're trying to be all nostalgic, but then they haven't even lived through 9/11. They'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And
you don't know the pain of getting
they
taken out of
can't
school.
they can't forget because they never remembered to begin with. So
Always forget.
That's a whole different story. But you know, like I said, this album is killer, and I like to. We're on a fun high note after those stories, anyways. But like I like to end off these episodes on a high note still. Whether we get higher than that, we'll figure that out as we get there. But my last question for the two of you before we take off is: from your time in Sentiments, what has been your favorite moment that you've experienced so far?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Huh. Part of me wants to say the studio with Greg, just because that's always an awesome time.
yeah, you know,
Or touring with Sinking. Our homies.
I have to say, I think my favorite moment is like, there's so many, like I have many favorite moments, like obviously like just getting to write with Jared, and I don't know, just like hang out and always have like pretty good times and like do shit is cool. But the first time like looking up while you're playing and seeing somebody singing the song back to you, that like for me, I think I could ride on that high forever. Where you're like, holy shit, like somebody actually like I kind of think about it as like if 10 people come to a show or 20 people come to a show, if one person I can connect to, like in some way, that's I don't know, that's it for me. So the fact that like
Yeah.
shout out to Eli and Esme and Pittsfield who always sing
Yeah.
along to our shit. So.
Yeah. Like, you're our favorite band, and we're like, what?
Yeah, we're like, we're not even our favorite band.
Okay, I mean, thanks. Yeah, yeah. No, that is a good. Yeah, because that was semi-recent too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a kind of an eye-opening moment, and to a degree, we just do this because we love hanging out and we're friends, and we're gonna be doing this anyways. To be cool if people liked it, but if not, like, it's gonna be what we're doing. So seeing that, other people are, specifically the new single Jinx and whatever, but people are really like kind of like latching onto it and being like, oh, and like getting a little recognition, which is great. Not the reason we're doing it, but it does help, especially connecting with someone and making a difference in one way or the other, and talking with them after the show and thinking, because we're old now, but like thinking of like, man, I remember being that kid, like that teenager at the show and being like, yeah, these guys are so cool. Like this, I love this band, and just not being shy and not wanting to talk to them. Like, they're not going to want to talk to me, but then
Yeah, we're not actually cool.
we're not actually cool. Come up to us and talk to us. We're starved for attention. Like, yeah, hit us up.
I remember being that kid, like, just because you see them get off stage and you're like, man, they're too cool. Like, I'll never, like, I can't, I don't want to bother them. And then you finally, work up that courage and go say something, and then they turn out to be like just giant nerds anyways. And you're just like, oh, okay, I could have came up a long time ago. I didn't have to stay there forever.
I know there's I don't, and that's why I like playing a lot of DIY spaces, and like I don't like being on stage if I can help it. Like being that much closer, you can kind of feel the connection too, and it feels like there's less of a barrier. I mean, I'm sure there still is to a degree, or people that might think, but it's like, we've just been hanging out in this room with you the whole time. Now we're going to do this thing real quick, and then we're going to be in the same room again and like come hang out and talk. That's the connections that we make. I mean, it's not a specific memory, I guess, but connections we make with people who listen to our stuff or other bands that we played with or toured with. Is, kind of what, like, our meeting Tom Shreve, our homie. And him booking us shows and going on tour with his other bands, and it's been great just meeting people. And
that, and one time we played a show and we played, and afterwards this kid was standing next to me and he just looks at me and he goes, "You sing about sad shit, man." And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I really get that." And I was like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, cool,
yeah."
And like we didn't have to have a conversation. We didn't have to talk about our feelings. It was like, like game recognizing game, like sad recognizing sad, you know?
A real one, for sure.
If anyone's looking for merch, music, or sentiments in general, where can they find it?
You can find us at Hail Sentiments on Instagram, like Hail Satan. So hard to forget. And we're on Spotify as Sentiments, but you'll see our faces on there. So it's not like the math rock or the other Sentiments I think that's out there.
Yeah.
We've been around the longest, though.
We had a good photo because I realized, like, on Spotify, if you like click on the band About Me, it like cuts off my head.
Oh, yeah.
But Jen was like, did you know that? And I was like, I didn't, but that's
So Hail Sentiments is the place to find us, and you can get the album through We're Trying Records site, their Bandcamp, and we'll be selling it at our shows, of course. So please come out, say hi, get a shirt, get a crew neck, and get a CD.
and hang.
Yeah. One quick shout out to Jordan at We're Trying Records. Happy 10 years. Their episode actually came out last week. Times of Construct. We'll talk about it. But shout out to Jordan. They're actually the reason I found you guys was Jordan added Jinx to the Sad Jams playlist, and it worked. I got sad and then sent an email. So
you're like, that's a sad jam, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone go follow Sentiments on Instagram. Be ready for those tour dates coming up. And just follow them for anything else they have up their sleeves, new music. Maybe we'll get to see some behind the scenes of the Jinx House. Who the fuck knows? But definitely keep an eye out on everything they have going on, and make sure you listen to If This Is What You Want. It's a great LP. Go get a copy if you haven't already, and be ready for everything coming next. One last big thank you to Jim and Jared for taking the time into your Thursday to sit down with me and talk about your band.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
this has been amazing.
Honored. This is honored.
Hell yeah. I was going to say something else. Also, check the hyperlinks down below if you need to follow them, because now I get to say my normal spiel of, depending on where you found this episode, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, or you watched the YouTube version and got to see their lovely face like I did tonight.
Sorry.
Go listen to some sad jams and be ready for everything coming next. I said it all out of order, but now my mind's gone. Everyone, I'll catch you on the next episode. I don't know. These beers hit me today. It's weird. Hell yeah.
Thank you.
See you.
All right, thank you.
Beers with Bears. Beers with Bears.